I'm going to start off with Sicilian. And let's see, he goes for this. I'm going to go for a knight off if he allows me. So Sicilian knight off incoming, and let's see what he'll choose. The idea of Sicilian knight off is generally to play e5 on the next move and control the center, but you do weaken this. The reason you do that is because at least you have two pawns controlling the center, and you can often get some play along the c file. So that's why. But here he goes for this knight b3 move. I know this exists, but I don't think it's supposed to be too dangerous. I could play e6 for example, and I claim the knight doesn't belong there. If I play e6, he probably wants g4 setups. Though with this knight on b3, I don't think anything should be too dangerous. I could also go g6 and play dragon setups, because the knight on b3 makes a dragon not that great, let's say. Good question is, which setup do I want to choose? I'm gonna go with g6. I'm gonna go with dragon setup. The knight on b3 doesn't allow for the dragon setup to work correctly. He plays g4, which is an early attack. There is no rush to castle. I can always castle on the next move. I could suppose I could go with this, but he has bishop f3 stuff. I'm gonna play knight c6. Allow any nonsense, not allow any nonsense. Knight d7, f4, b5. I attack as well. And I claim that his king is weak, so I'm going to launch my attack as well. a3, so I go bishop b7, and I want to get full attack. Bishop f3. So how would I want to get an attack? If I could get my knight to d4 safely, that would be possible. Maybe something like knight c5 takes, and then he has e5, and he blocks my bishop for a long period of time. Another idea I thought I had was b4, pawn takes, knight takes, activating my bishop, but he has knight a5, which attacks my bishop terribly. So I can't do that as well. That means I have to stick with rook b8 or rook c8. Rook c8 to go b4, and after knight a5 I have an extra square for my bishop. b4 it is, and I take after that. Now if knight a5, bishop a8 is what I had planned. I also may have threats of rook c3, bishop c3 stuff. Plays bd4. I'm half tempted to play e5 and, you know, break that structure apart, kind of in my knight off spirit. And it seems like I don't have a better option. If I can weaken these things, make this bishop bad, I think I'm doing okay. Let's see how he'll respond. This is not an easy decision for him to make as well. If he takes, I'm going to take with the knight, because my knight becomes very activated and his king isn't still castled. And my pieces are on active squares. Notice that the queen has to always guard c2, because if queen ever takes, I have knight c2. Plays there, I think I can officially take. And he takes with the bishop. And then I can jump in with knight e5. Yeah, that seems good. I take, of course. Knight e5 jumps in, and I can go knight c4, tickle that as well. With those bishops, seems amazing. He plays that. A good move is probably to castle, get my king safe, and then knight c4 on the next move. That seems very, very reasonable. Nothing to overcomplicate here. All my pieces are beautifully playing, and therefore I am fulfilling all the purpose of chess. Plays h4, defending his king, but he is forgetting that squares on this side of the board are weakened as well. So it makes a lot of sense for me to play knight c4. Keeps an eye on e3, keeps an eye on b2. The bishop becomes a monster on the diagonal. What will he do? Quick tactics. If he plays queen c1, I can go knight takes b2, and the knight is hanging after that, and I win a pawn, at least. Also, if he plays rook b1, I can still play knight takes b2, for example, and I still win some material. So by looking at weak squares and weak pawns, I can identify tactical opportunities. Now he's in a dilemma what to do. Because my knights are too strong. Plays knight a4, wants to defend, but knight on a4 leaves these two weak. One idea is, my first thought was that I can play bishop c6 take and knight takes b2, forking the queen and the knight. And that seems okay. I could also keep it very, very simple with knight takes b2 and bishop takes b2, rook b1, maybe rook takes c2 if it's not too much is possible. So I have a few good options now. And I have to choose, I have to calculate which one's the best. Bishop c6, how is he dealing with? He's gonna move his queen, right? And then bishop here, rook takes, attacks my knight. So probably not the best response. Although here, queen e2, I don't need to take. I can play bishop b5, putting my queen in the same diagonal. And it feels very reasonable at least. Feels very reasonable. Is this the move? Knight a5 is not possible, of course. Knight d4 is not possible. I don't know, this feels like the move, but it also doesn't feel like the move. I don't know what to do about it. Maybe he'll play bishop e2, bishop takes a4, bishop takes c4, and rook takes c4, rook takes a4. Doesn't give me exactly what I wanted. Yeah, I think the problem I have to solve is bishop e2, but then I can just take here and c2. Yeah, I must say bishop c6 looks very, very tempting. Is he just going to defend bishop c1? Yeah, probably bishop c1 is his idea there. And he can defend for some time, I guess. So I suppose I could keep it very simple with knight b2. No need to overcomplicate. Wait, he plays bishop d6, but that just hangs the queen. And I win the game on the spot. I mean, I was winning in all the cases due to his bad opening, but this just made it easier. If I check with the engine right now, it actually says bishop c6 is the best move, which I was calculating for a while. And knight takes b2 is the second best move. They both differ by... So this is... Bishop c6 is plus 2.7 for me, and knight takes b2 is negative 1.94. So both are good moves. Bishop c6 was a bit better. What did I miss after bishop here? Okay, this was okay apparently. Bishop takes e4. So why didn't I go for this? Huh. Bishop... Okay, I thought not to overcomplicate, right? Like I saw this line with bishop e4. I even commentated it. But yeah, okay, both were really good options. Yeah, both were really good options. I chose the simpler one. But this was the better one, of course. So do let me know if you did like the game, if you did like how I commentated in the opening about my moves. e5 is the best move, for example. And even here, this plan with rook c8 is very, very reasonable. Engine says this is really good. And then b4, yeah. I quite like this, the whole concept with creating one square for the bishop in case there is any knight a5 was my main plan. And that was good. Though here I could have just castled as well. This was reasonable. Suppose he plays h4 and then I can play knight a5 and launch an attack this way. So that's the analysis if you want. Okay. So I'm gonna go for a Nimzo-Indian defense. And perhaps bb4 works. And I'm going to play... I suppose I could play d5 or c5 controlling the center. But the more natural one to me is to, let's say, play d5. And castles, knight f3, and I'm going to play a sideline with rook e8. He plays rook c1. And I suppose I'm gonna play knight d7. I'm gonna try for c5. I'm going away from the main line, which is b6, to go for something more interesting. And I suppose I'm gonna take. And the reason I take here is because he played bishop d3, so and when I take again, he has to waste a tempo. And now I can go c5 to strike the center, or I can go a6 to play b5. a6 somehow feels more intuitive, so I'm gonna go for that. a5, b5, c5, and I'm happy because that bishop is awkwardly placed. This bishop would love to be on this diagonal. And the fact that this is a bit awkward, I want to open up this situation. Playing against a slight nuance. So there I come with b5. Goes there, and I want to blast open with c5, but can I do that? c5, a3, takes c4, bishop there. Feel like that's known to be okay. Trying to recall, c5, a3, takes, and I'm trying to remember whether the positions with c4, bishop b1, bishop b7 are supposed to be okay, because my opponent has a bishop pair, but I have queenside play. I'm gonna trust my intuition and say it's okay. So c5 it is. c5 it is. I could show these games, these rapid instructive games against, let's say, 500s or 1500s, but I want to set a better example. I want to beat some, relatively high rated players. So I'm gonna go for this one. Takes and c4. This was the original idea. Notice I never play a move without a plan. Every time I play, I have some sort of plan. So now my plan was to play bishop b7, knight e4, knight f6, maybe get a knight to d5 and start rolling these pawns. That's the whole concept. That's why I've given up the bishop pair in an open position. One thing, I can exchange these bishops. The second thing is I can install a good knight, which will always keep an eye on this bishop. So the power of his two bishops is actually not very high in this particular position. And that's why I've done this. It would be very ideal for me to get a5 and b4. That's really good if I can get that. Though it's not very trivial for now. He plays b3, so he tries to break open the structure on this side of the board. It feels somewhat wrong, though I can't point out why. Aha, I think I can point out why. I can actually take and install a bishop on c4 if I like. Or at least I can tickle this queen a little bit. I'm going to take, definitely. That feels okay. He plays knight d2, so he doesn't take with the queen instead, but tries to go for this. Okay, what does that change in the position? The knight is not defending the king anymore. So my first thought is if I can sort of try to launch an attack. It is not very obvious how I can do that. One thing I also notice is this pawn is weak. Queen e7, there is bishop b4, so I can't do that. Aha. Okay, I have to make a decision. There is e5 to open up a little bit, but he has a bishop. So do I really want to do that? Yeah, this is not an easy decision to make. Perhaps knight d5 was on my eye to get queen h4 or queen g5 and an attack towards the king. And I always have to worry about knight e4 stuff. Yeah, it's a great question how I should proceed here. I'm going to play bishop d5. It feels like the bishop does belong here. And once I have my bishop here, I thought if I can bring this queen to this diagonal, I can put some pressure. And I'm always putting pressure on the knight if he takes. And I can also play knight e4. So this is the kind of thing that was on my mind. Once I have my knight on e4, I can also play queen g5 and start an attack. So this was the whole concept I had in mind. If I play queen g5 and he has to play f3, then e3 becomes weak. If he plays g3, then the diagonal becomes weak. So I'm sort of trying to create some weaknesses. Let's see what he does. His first question is what does he want to do, but he allows queen g5 pretty much straight away. Queen g5 is fairly interesting because my knight is threatening some discoveries and queen g2 could be a checkmating idea. He can't play f3 because e3 hangs. So I'm by noticing the fact that his pieces had moved towards the queen side, my eye was already on the king side and I was trying to bring my queen here. That's where I thought my queen belonged. So I played this concept with queen g5. Let's see what he will do. He takes and I'll take back. But isn't the only way to defend g3? That seriously weakens light squares, which is not what he wants. This is not what he wants here. Although when you are in a better position, be extra careful. You can always blunder. So I'm gonna see how to do this precisely. Okay, if queen f6 to go bishop f3, he has f3 himself, and then I don't have that. Okay, what would I love? I would love my knight to be on g5 to go to here. How can I get my knight to g5? Yeah, g5, there is no route. Like, there is this one route, but it doesn't quite work. If I play knight f6, I always have to deal with this. Then I can play bishop there. Okay, yeah, that's okay. I can play knight f6. The knight is better here. And if I can even bring my queen to h3 and knight to g4, I can achieve checkmate. Else, I'm gonna look for some maneuver to g5. Maybe h5, h4. Knight should come to g5. Notice, I really like to think where my pieces belong before I make my moves. So I thought my queen belonged to g5 and therefore I found that plan. Now I want to see my knight on g5, so I'm seeing that plan with h5, knight h7, knight g5. It's all about where I want my pieces to be. That's what Carlsen does as well, believe it or not. So I've learned that from Carlsen essentially. Plays rook c5, what's his idea? e4. So I've got to block that. And one way I can think of is queen f5 is on that track because it also threatens knight e4. And if he takes, the queen eyes the whole diagonal. Else I'm also threatening this and this. So few threats for him to defend. One thing I noticed was if he plays f3, I thought I had queen d3, but he does have rook c3, which I didn't see initially. But again, f3 creates more weaknesses, so I should not be too worried. f3 is his only move. And I'm going to play queen g6 or queen g5. I'm tempted to play queen g5. Yeah, this is not an easy decision again. Maybe queen f5 wasn't accurate. Perhaps I could have played queen g6 and then knight e4. Because then f3, I don't need to worry about e4. Perhaps. Plays f3, yeah. And now a good question is, what do I do with e4? Yeah, it's maybe I underestimated this. Though I fail to believe his position is okay. I'm going to play queen g5 and attack the weakness. Plays queen e2, threatening e4. And I'm going to play e5. I'm going to go, pound for pound, if you want to say so. And what I'm saying is I'm going to target these weaknesses straight away with the help of my rook. That's the plan. If he takes and I take back, I attack e3. Yes, he can play e4, trying to attack the bishop, but then I have queen d4, which attacks the rook. And he has queen f2 and the game goes on. If he plays e4 directly, I want to take on d4. Plays this, if I take with the rook, he has f4, so I'm going to take with the queen. e4 is not dangerous because I can play queen e7 or... Oh wait, I can... he has this plan of takes, yeah? I'm going to play queen d6. His plan is that if I take, he wants to take here and then take the bishop. I'm going to play queen d6, of course. And now I don't need to worry about much, and his king is weakened in the long term. For instance, b4, I could play queen b6 and keep an eye on this diagonal. Notice, I also was threatening to trap his rook with knight d7, so he played bd4 correctly. I'm still going to play knight d7 because my knight can maneuver to e5, which seems like a better square to go to c4. And I also have this weakness on a3. So I'm targeting a few things now. Weaknesses here and here. Plays this. Could I go knight e5? I suppose I should. And if I can stick a bishop onto or a knight onto c4, I am pleased. I'm pleased with my position. And if he takes, then I have a bishop in an open position and weaknesses. So I'm making him take big decisions. He takes. I could take with the rook or the queen. Queen seems better because it attacks the rook as well and the pawn. He plays there. I should make some space for my king. Perhaps I'm going to play h6 or g6. I'm going to say h6 to make a back rank space for my king. And there are still weaknesses here he needs to take care of. There is a weakness here. I also aim to create a passed pawn soon on this side of the board. Plays king g2, putting the thing in the same diagonal, which is a bit awkward to me. How can I take advantage of this stuff? My first thing is to actually start looking to create a passed pawn. That gives him more problems to solve within the short time he has. Gives him a lot more problems to solve. King g2, I could, hide my bishop onto a few squares. e6 is good. I'm provoking him to play f4 and say his king will become even weaker. So that's my concept there. If f4, I play queen d6. If f5, I can actually take because the queen is unprotected. And tactics occur on unprotected pieces. Plays this. This is all part of the plan. Getting him to expand, overexpand on this side of the board. He plays this, and I feel like I can play for a win in that endgame. Though I want to keep more pieces for now because I want some things here. I want to keep more pieces on the board for now. Queen a5. Does he want queen c3? Is he hell-bent on exchanging? If he does, then I can, go for a5, b4. Okay, he plays this. But doesn't that mean I have rook d8? Attacking the queen and the knight, and does he fall for a tactic? Tactics occur on unprotected or inadequately protected pieces, and that's what he's falling for. If rook here, I take, queen takes, and I have rook d8. And that wins because of the unprotected knight. So very technical conversion in this game. Very, very technical. I know I couldn't give you, let's say, Tal-like sacrifices. But not all games are like that, sometimes you have to be technical, like this one. So hopefully you did enjoy this game. It is not even finished, but I'm already on the end part of the video. Yeah, and he goes for the queen trade, and rook d2 actually just, gets me the win. It was pretty straightforward. I could play rook b2, takes and takes, give a check to go. Ask him where he wants to put the king. bd3 is a threat. The conversion is very technical here. Bishop there and takes. Easy stuff. Takes, hangs the rook. Take back and, it's a very straightforward win. Takes and... yeah, just, not give him anything at all. Takes. I'm not stalemating, of course. And where is the win? I could give a check like that. And where is the easiest mate? This one. And rook e5 is mate. There we go. We win the game. So hopefully you did enjoy this video and learned a thing or two about how to actually form plans in chess to beat higher rated players. Like I beat this 2393. That's my rapid rating as well. I don't play too much rapid. Though I hope you did like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.